talked about Cornel West. You've specifically talked about RFK. There's Dr. Jill Stein. There's Claudia. What do you think about the field of candidates overall? And when you kept referring to the word criminal, as far as when what Cornel West has how he opened his campaign and to where it is now. Ajamu Baraka and Margaret Kimberly both use historic mistake in this instance, because it feels like it hasn't been this perfect storm for a third party movement to sort of grow. This is so fertile for third party, for an independent sort of movement to take place. So could you speak to just overall the whole candidate field in this space where we have this perfect storm for a third party to sort of take off? And then is there a sort of singular person, or do you believe that it's a good strategy for the majority of those who are non-establishment like us radicals who want, should we all sort of get behind a singular person? Is that a better strategy? Or as long as they're voting for one of these three, I would say, not including RFK, that's okay? Like, what is sort of your take on that?
Absolutely, we need the strongest independent left vote. And so having a divided left vote is not going to help. And so it's not leadership if people are saying, even out of good intentions, that, oh, vote for whichever one you want to vote for. Among the PSL and West and Stein, we just want, I do see well-intentioned people on the left saying, I'm not dictating to you which one you should vote for, just vote for one of them against Biden and Trump. Obviously, it's better than voting for Biden or Trump, but it's not a question of just, it's not an electoral calculation. That can't be our approach. And this is why I'm emphasizing the need for revolutionary clarity in all of this, is that for us, it's not an electoral calculation that, just for me to feel good about myself as a voter, as a working person, I've voted for one of them and it doesn't matter what the overall strategy is. No, there has to be a unifying strategy for the left. And in a presidential year, that unifying principle, on a basis of principled unity, that unifying strategy has to be to fight for the strongest possible left independent vote. And that is not going to be possible if you have splintered votes, if you have a divided left vote where some people are voting for some and the others, where some candidates are appearing on the ballot in some states and not others. All of that is problematic. And that is why I use the word criminal, in the sense that for Cornel West to have left the Green Party ticket, that means that he is not going to be on the ballot, very likely on very many states at all. And instead, a united one of, for example, of West and Stein would have been much better. Even now, it would be much better if West and Stein decided to get on the same ticket, and not just stopping there, but then really build a campaign, like use the months from May through October to really build a campaign that is 100 times stronger than either of them are right now. And so the failure or the absence of any such strong campaign on the left, like I'm talking about, is not because there isn't a hunger for it, and this touches on the earlier theme you were talking about, but more because of the failures of the left leadership. So it shows that the leadership on the left has to get its act together. It's true, of course, that in the absence of any such unifying strategy on the left, obviously, needless to say, it's much better that people vote for whichever left candidate is on their ballot. So, for example, if you're voting for PSL in California or wherever, then voting for Biden, obviously that's much better. But what we need really on the left is a united ticket of someone like West and Stein, and then campaign with mass rallies, and really getting their act together and building a historic left campaign. And then see, all of these are important things, and none of this is easy. First, the strategy, understanding that you need to have that united ticket for the left, and then building a campaign that can really reach a mass proportion, but then also coming out of that, organizing meetings to present a strategy for what happens. What happens after all that energy is put in? after November, we don't have an idea that the left ticket is going to win. So really, again, as I said, it's not about electoral calculations. Really, the objective of doing any of this would be to use it as the basis to build something coming out of that in terms of a new party, building something new. In terms of concrete steps, people should look out for the several things. Like one of them is workers strike back meetings on Biden, Trump, uncommitted, what is the way forward, why we need to build a new party, all of that. If you can just show the web, basically you can go to workers strike back /events. You'll see public meetings that we're hosting in multiple cities. Some of them have already happened. The one in Seattle is about to happen, and a couple of other cities, including Philadelphia, are going to happen. So if you happen to live in those cities, please join us, and definitely go to workerstrikeback.org and check that out. Become a member, and also go to On Strike Show on YouTube and subscribe to our show. And also, for those of your listeners who are viewers who understand the need for to fight for socialism, I really urge you all to contact socialistalternative.org, because ultimately we do have to build the socialist revolutionary movement, which as always is going to be the backbone of any successful struggle. And then also, I just wanted to mention two things. One is that Workers Strike Back will be hosting a national Zoom meeting, and Socialist Alternative will be co-hosting, of course, a national Zoom meeting about the way forward for to November, sometime in May, and we haven't decided the date. And also, just to mention, and I think you guys were alluding to this earlier, is that when the Democratic Party has its national convention in Chicago in August, we need working people there in mass numbers. We need mass protests outside the DNC. Certainly, Chicago Socialist Alternative and Socialist Alternative around the country will be helping to build that, and also Workers Strike Back as well. So hopefully we'll see you. On Strike will be there on the ground.
Absolutely. And I did show the website. Much appreciated, Kshama, for joining us. We know, we understand that you're busy. There's a lot of activity you're doing on the ground. There's a lot of work you're doing. And there's a lot of people that want to speak to you. So we do appreciate you giving us 2.5 hours almost today. But it went by fast, because this is a lot of topics that is very needed to talk about, because it is our belief that the revolution starts with your mind, and you have to. That's why we feel we started RBN. We felt like in order to get people to the place of organizing, we first have to sort of raise consciousness, and that's what we feel part of our job is here. But organizing is also part of what we want to do. So we absolutely love being in community with Worker Strike Back, with On Strike, and make sure you check out On Strike. I'm telling you, the podcast. It's a great podcast. There's a lot more I would say it's a lot more informational than ours, maybe. So it's a great podcast to check out. I think you shouted out everything. Was there any last words before I put you in the background here?
Just to say that, so again, first of all, thank you so much, Nick and CJ, for having me on, and everyone at RBN. We'd love to do a joint show of On Strike and RBN sometime soon. So we'll be in touch with you about that.